Leaders in Ely are now looking beyond that fire line at the economic toll hitting during the heart of summer tourism season.
Northern News Now's Kyrie Johnson sat in on today's community discussion where business owners and residents brought their biggest concerns directly to their representatives.
Lawmakers held a roundtable here in Ely with the Chamber of Commerce and other community partners to talk about what's been lost, what help is available right now, and what next steps could look like for businesses and employers being devastated across the region. In Ely, the conversation is shifting beyond the fire line to the financial fallout.
Our region has really been through a lot of difficult challenges. But our region is also really special.
But right now, local leaders say what makes this place special is also what makes it vulnerable, a short tourism season that carries businesses through the year.
To be clear, if the BWCA is closed, we have no business income.
Outfitters like Ely Outfitting Company are issuing full refunds, even as it drains their own bottom line.
The financial reality of this is harsh. The number of our booked groups that have canceled is 128 groups. That's 500 people who are not spending their money with us or any other Ely businesses.
They've lost at least $60,000 in just the last 2 weeks. But Representative Scraba says the struggle is balancing safety with keeping the community afloat.
The message is clear. We need these businesses open. We need to survive. We have to do this. And then in the other was we have to protect people. We have to make sure they're safe.
And both lawmakers were blunt about the challenge ahead.
It's not easy securing resources, right? Everybody is after their piece of the pie.
People welcome the chance to be heard, but worry help won't come in time to save the season.
We can start putting these ideas together, and with everyone's help, we'll be okay.
Lawmakers say they'll take what they heard today and bring it back to St. Paul to help use it for next steps when thinking about how to help businesses and employers in the region. In Ely, Kyrie Johnson, Northern News Now.
Thanks, Kyrie. We've been covering the wildfires from all angles, including the stories of firefighters and businesses. You can find all those stories on our Northern News Now